Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and the Gyro Step Podcast Network. I am one of your hosts, Ty Windisch. I am joined as always by the elated Rohan Katti. Rohan, how's it going?
Elated is a good term to use. I'm elated to do this podcast. It's weird. I missed the last one where it was you, Adam, and Jordan, and I was just listening to that, and I'm like, this feels weird. I try not to miss podcasts, and it's a weird experience, but I get to be a listener, which is always good. But I'm happy to be here, happy to talk about some playoff rotations, a little bit of Brook on the front end of this. But before that, make sure you are subscribed on your podcast platform of choice. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the Substack, gspn.substack.com. If you leave a 5-star rating on your podcast platform of choice, send it to us and we'll read it out. We'll have one read at the end of this episode. Ty, let's get into it.
Let's do it. One last note. Make sure you follow the steps to get into the Discord. Catch our next playback room. We've got 2 on the schedule for the next 2 weeks. Tuesday, March 22nd against the Bulls, and Thursday, March 31 against the Nets. You can watch those games, watch our Manningcast style broadcast of them. Plus, you'll be in a chat with a bunch of Bucks fans. So it's a lot of fun. People really enjoy those. So make sure you submit your review on Apple or Spotify or your Substack subscription. Get into that Discord. All right, let's do it. Before we're going to talk about what we think the Bucks playoff rotation is going to look like. This is a complicated question because the Bucks have a lot of good players this season. But let's start with, we need to give you a chance here. Brook Lopez is back, as you mentioned. You haven't been on a pod since he's played. He's played 2 games, and he looks like Brook, but I don't want to even say anything else. I don't want to take away. This is your Brook Lopez moment. We got ours on the last pod. What are your Lopez thoughts through 2 games of the return?
I think you said it fairly well already. He looks like Brook Lopez. Again, his game is not one that's really predicated on athleticism. So if he goes out there and he looks slow and it's like, oh, I don't know if his bounce is back, we don't have to worry about that. It's Brook Lopez. Who are you kidding? At this point, it's more about his situational awareness. It's about his basketball intelligence and obviously his skills as a player. If we want to tackle the offensive end at first, that's the one that is a little bit like there's some rust there. On the offensive end, he's spaced out a little more than he had been last season. He's taken a lot of threes, like against the Kings, for instance. 3 of his 4 shot attempts were from distance. So you don't really like to see him spaced out that much, but if he's making them, which, I mean, he had 1 of 3, that's all right. But if he's making them, it's not a big deal. But obviously, he's more skilled inside. We've come to know that over the past 2 seasons. So that's something that could use a little bit of work, sort of integrating him back into this offense. On the defensive end, I think he looks good. The drop defense is back. And the first time we saw a drop, we were in a playback, and I was going nuts. It made me so happy to just see a base drop. I never thought I would say those words before.
Isn't it funny?
But it's so funny. You just see a base drop of Brook Lopez, and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm receiving a warm hug right now. You feel so safe. Because it was against the Utah Jazz. You see Brook Lopez cut off a Donovan Mitchell drive, allow the guard defender to recover. I think it was Drew at the time. And then he also is able to cut off Rudy Gobert at the rim. It's perfect situational awareness, perfect basketball intelligence. The timings are coming and going. They're more often than not, he's on. But it looks great. It's so great to have him back.
I think the one thing on defense is he's going to have to stop giving warm hugs to defenders. He's picked up, I think, 4 fouls in both games in like 15 minutes a game. So that's something to be cleaned up. I thought he fouled a ton against Utah. I honestly thought against Sacramento, maybe 1 or 2 of those was like a no doubt foul. The other I thought were pretty ticky-tacky. So hopefully Brook can get just a better whistle and get more used to, I think, just playing again. I think he's just knocking off rust. But I agree, obviously. I mean, I think Brook looks like Brook. And the biggest thing outside of the fouling is going to be seeing how much he's utilized within the arc by the playoffs. You know, I think it makes sense to just start him out with a simple spacing role early as he kind of gets used to and some of the new guys get used to Brook. But I certainly don't want that to be 80% of his touches in the playoffs, right? So I'd like to see him doing some more work in and around the post, rolling. We just know how much of a threat he is with the ball around the rim. But I think that'll come. I don't think that stuff is gone. I just think we're not there yet in the ramp-up process.
Yeah, it'll take time. There's 12 games remaining in the regular season, so it's a decent chunk of time before the postseason starts. And it's not like they have an easy opponent in round one, as we'll probably get into later. Who knows at this point? But it doesn't look like it's going to be a potentially like cakewalk of a first round like it has been in years past. So these 12 games are going to be really important for Brook Lopez. Whether he gets a starting job back immediately, here's a question. Yeah. Do you think he gets it back next game?
I don't know when they're going to do it. I think he gets it back, well before playoffs. Well, there's only 12 games, in the next couple of games. I don't know if it'll be next game or not. Like, I think really, and I know Adam McGee on the last pod didn't really agree with the reasoning of not wanting to start him while he's still getting his minutes back, his ability to play more. But I would think as soon as he's able to play comfortably 20 minutes, why not start him at that point? I feel like that is going to be the Bucks' end game, but maybe it's not. I still personally think that he's going to be a starter sooner rather than later. I think the team just makes more sense like that. But it is a little interesting that he's come off the bench for both of the games so far.
Yeah, it is. We've seen this earlier in the season, like you guys talked about on the last episode, with Drew Holiday. In his return, he came off the bench to start, and then I believe it was 3 games he came off the bench, and then he came back to the starting lineup. So the next game is Saturday against the Wolves. Let's see if he starts that. Otherwise, it's the 22nd against the Bulls. So there's, like you said, there's not a lot of time. I don't actually. You know what? I'm going to say he does start. I'm going to say he does start on Saturday.
I hope so. I mean, he's really getting a gauntlet of bigs to cover. Sabonis, his second game back, Gobert, the first game, and now Karl Towns if he starts on Saturday. And either way, he'll play against Towns. But maybe that's good just to kind of hit the ground running. I hope he does, and I still think that's going to be the plan. But I think this is kind of a good segue into, because we're talking about rotations to an extent, let's talk about the playoff rotation. So I think in addition to seeing how Brook looks and if he gets the starting job back over these next 12 games, there are some important decisions that Bud is going to have to make about not even where or how much somebody plays, or just who doesn't play. Because right now, you look at the Bucks roster, and I think we can actually start from the bottom up, right? Because the top is a little boring. We know Chris, Drew, and Giannis are going to play a bunch. Who cares? So I think we can rule out, and stop me if you disagree, I think we can rule out 5 players from the jump. We're not going to worry about allotting them minutes. They are not going to play consistent minutes. Jordan Nwora, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, DeAndre.
I'm stopping you.
Yeah. Okay, we can slot in 1 minute per game for Thanasis, or 15 seconds or whatever. DeAndre Bembry, unfortunately. And then the two-way guys, Sandro Mamukelashvili and Lindell Wigginton. I assume none of these guys you think are going to play a major role in the playoffs.
No.
There's also an open roster spot that could become Tyrique Evans. He's slated to make his Herd debut soon. He's with the Herd now officially. If they signed him tomorrow, I would include him here too, because coming in this late, I don't think there's any reason to expect Tyrique Evans would play playoff minutes, because that leaves, if you're counting along at home, 11 players who we could see having some sort of minutes, which is too many already. I mean, the Bucks went down to 6 at points in the last postseason. I put up a poll on Twitter asking people how many they think should play in any given playoff game, and the options were 7 to 10. 7 or less, 8, 9, 10 or more. And so far, 84% of responders have said either 8 or 9. So if there's 11 playable guys, that means the vast majority of people think that 2 or 3 players of this group should not play any given night. So I think this is going to be interesting to talk about, just the fringes here. What are your thoughts? And first off, is there anyone in that 11 that you would slide down to the I don't expect to play group?
No, I think it's a pretty clear deviation line between the two groups on the roster. Do you want to do this by position?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. But I think
position group.
Yeah, guard, wing, big, right?
Yeah.
Trying to do it by the 5 traditional positions is so messy because it's
impossible.
Giannis plays 20 minutes at center.
It doesn't make any sense.
24 minutes at it's ridiculous, especially with this roster. So all right, I'll let you choose. Where do you want to start? I personally guard. How many? I have 4 guards. So let's make sure we're designating them the same. Here's how I split it up. Drew, Grayson, Javon Carter, George Hill are guards. Then Chris Middleton, Pat Connaughton, Wes Matthews are wings. And then Giannis, Brooke, Bobby, Serge are bigs. Do you agree with that?
Yes, but I'm going to cheat a little, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, I think Giannis and Wes and maybe Pat could slide up and down there. But okay, guards. So Drew Holiday. Do you want to do exact minutes, or just plays a lot, plays sometimes, plays a little?
Well, let's not do exact. Let's give ballpark. So last postseason, Drew Holiday averaged 39.6 minutes per game.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And stop me if you think I'm wrong. He's going to be playing a similar amount of minutes.
I agree. Postseason. Yeah. I did a very, very quick sketch of minutes ideas. I just threw him for 40. I think in a closeout game, it's more. In some earlier games, it's probably a little less, and then it averages out to 40, just like it did last playoffs.
Yeah, 40 is good. He's arguably been the second best player on this team.
Yeah. So then for quick context, that leaves, what does that leave? 56 guard minutes?
Yes.
Total per game. If Drew plays 40 and 48 times 2 is 96. So that basically takes up nearly half of the guard minutes right there. And we have 3 more players to get to.
Yeah. So obviously, as of right now, Grayson Allen is the starter, has been the starter, and will he's going to remain the starter. That's what's going to happen.
I think.
You think?
I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 80% sure.
I'll go 93.
That's probably fair. I would be pretty surprised I would be surprised, but I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah, it's not impossible, but very, very improbable.
It wouldn't be unless it wouldn't just be at the start of the playoffs. It would be okay, there's an issue, we need to switch it. And I'm not talking injuries, that's different.
Yeah, it's you're going through the series and it's just oh yeah, this is becoming untenable.
Yeah.
We're going to have to make a switch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really see it happening. Even if there are some issues, I still think he's going to be a starter.
Agreed.
And I think it's a good role for him. But yeah, Grayson Allen, I would slot him in. If I'm comparing this postseason to last postseason as just the archetype, I would slot him in at around probably somewhere between Dante and Bryn Forbes. Pre-injury Dante, of course. So Dante was playing around 23 minutes a game. Bryn Forbes played around 14 minutes per game. I'd say maybe around 20.
I put 20. Yeah, I put 20 as well. I think he will start. I don't think he will close any playoff games unless he's on a crazy heater. And I just think
or it's they go matchup dependent and say oh yeah, we're just going to try and outscore you.
I don't personally see them ever doing that. I don't think that's how they like to close games.
Adam mentioned it on the last pod, and it was because he was in relation to maybe a Miami series, for instance. If you want to go try and slug it out, be physical, okay. The Bucks did not have the option to have lineups last postseason where they were just purely going to be outscoring teams. Now they do, because when Dante got hurt, they really lost that option. Bryn Forbes, for all the troubles we'll say that Grayson has had on the defensive end, it's not nearly as bad as Bryn Forbes ever was. And Bryn Forbes is obviously just a much lesser player than Grayson Allen. So I think you have the versatility to have offense heavy lineups. So I'm saying there's a chance they could go there. Do I think they will? Probably not, but that option exists.
It exists. I would be surprised, personally. Do you know where Grayson Allen ranks among Bucks in minutes per fourth quarter this season?
I'm going to guess 9th.
No, he's tied for 5th. Tied with George Hill. Bobby Portis right behind. Jordan Nwora, surprisingly, right behind as well. That's for the season. You could narrow it down by looking at different times, but I don't know. I just, the last two games have been Utah and Sacramento, and especially against Sacramento, it did feel like they were basically just trying to outscore the Kings. At least that's how the game went. And it was West both games who closed. So we'll see. It's not impossible, but personally, I would be pretty surprised if the Bucks went for scoring over defense if they have a choice, especially if the defensive choice maybe has scoring, but a 20. So I think this is probably not that, controversial so far. The issue is, what do we do with the other two guards? And I think this is probably the number one thing that I'm going to watch for the rest of the season. It's really three guys, I think, kind of competing for minutes. But I would kind of throw Wes in here. But part of me thinks Wes will always play. I just think Bud is riding with Wes. And now he's shooting well again over the last week. So maybe that's the right call. But Jevon Carter and George Hill, this is the tough part. I don't know if they can both play. And I really don't know who to go with if you don't see room for them both.
Yeah, it's tough because they're not similar players whatsoever. I think this is where we get into our first matchup dependent sort of minute allocation here, because as at times where we saw even earlier this season when Jrue Holiday was missing time, it was like they were desperate for ball handlers. Like Chris and Giannis were just being primary ball handlers, and it wasn't going particularly well. That's why when Jrue Holiday came back, it's like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is the second coming right here. But if you want a guy who's going to be able to lead an offense, it's George Hill. If you're struggling to score, you need a guy like George Hill. If you are in a matchup where the guards are absolutely going off, you need Jevon Carter. And I think that's what it's going to have to come down to.
So, you know what? I lean Jevon. I left George Hill out of my minutes allocations, which I don't think is going to happen, but that's the way I went with this. Because the way the playoff rotations work, how often do you really want George Hill handling the ball? If Jrue is playing 40 minutes and Chris is playing 40 minutes and Giannis is playing 38 minutes, and you always have at least two of those guys on the court, maybe the 8 non-Jrue minutes is the one time, but I just think like there's less of that need for that ball handler.
It's not even just a ball handler in terms of primary initiator, like secondary initiator, tertiary initiator. You want guys out there who are capable of being who are capable players in those situations. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be used, but if a possession ends up with George Hill with the ball in his hands having to do something rather than Jevon Carter, you'd rather have George Hill in that situation. I think that's what it comes down to. It's not, oh yeah, we want George Hill to be a creator here. It's like, if it comes down to it, George Hill is capable.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think, has he been that much better with the ball in his hands than Jevon has been as a Buck?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, Jevon has not scored at the rim. That's the biggest thing.
We haven't seen really a lot of Jevon Carter with the ball on his hand.
We haven't seen that much George Hill either because he's been out for so long. But Javon's got a great assist turnover ratio, and I think if you always have two of Chris, Grayson, Jrue, and Giannis, that also lessens the need. And we're going to have Bobby Portis minutes as well. I don't know. I just think it'll be really interesting. I see what you're saying. I don't disagree that you want that tertiary ball handler. I just don't know how important it is when the Bucks are really humming and all of the actions are going through the primaries and the guys who are in those tertiary playmaker roles just are asked less of. It's either you're driving against a hard closeout, you're taking an open shot, you're cutting. It's going to be interesting. I think really for me, I need to see Jevon Carter continue to shoot well and just play well. And I believe in the defense at this point. But I really need to see him utilize the dunker and finish at the rim, whether it's drives or cuts, because I think he's still like 1 for 9 on twos. That's obviously a problem. 12 games. This is really the the decision I mean when I say these next 12 games feel super important. I think Bud will lean George Hill, at least at first. He kind of has so far in the regular season. But I think Jevon Carter is making a hell of a case, which I did not expect when the signing happened.
Yeah, for sure. Another point of the offense versus defense thing, if you want to target a guy on the opposing team on the defensive end, you want to have a guy that you don't want to have any holes in your offensive game as well. Not saying Jevon Carter is a hole on the offensive end. I'm saying you can upgrade it by putting George Hill there. So let's say Trae Young, for instance. Let's say it's a Hawks series. Trae Young is going to probably be on George Hill or George Hill or Jevon Carter, one of those two, whoever is on the floor in lineups with Drew, that player, Chris, Giannis, Brooke, whatever, right? That's where Trae Young is going to be. If you want to exploit that matchup, do you want offensive actions to be led by George Hill or Jevon Carter?
Jevon had a pretty nice pick and roll with Giannis last night. I got to see how George's shooting continues to progress.
It's not just about the shooting.
It's not just about the shooting, but the shooting matters.
Shooting matters, but also playmaking matters. Like, I trust George Hill more with the ball in his hands than Jevon.
Yeah,
and that's not a slight to Jevon.
No, I do too. But it's not the only thing I'm basing the decision on.
Yeah, I know. I recognize that.
Yeah.
I'm saying in this certain situation.
Yeah, I'd probably lean George. It's just not that. I mean,
it's going to be matchup dependent. Exactly.
No, I'm saying in that one specific situation about who would I rather use to attack Trae Young, I would lean George Hill. I don't know how often the Bucks are actually going to do that. They weren't good at that last postseason. We'll see.
They did. No, that's something they exploited a lot last postseason, just like trying to find holes. Like in that series, Goran Dragic, do that. That's what they did in the Heat series last year.
Yeah, they did that in the Heat series. They weren't. I don't think they were very good at that against the Hawks. I felt like Trae was able to kind of fly under the radar.
Well, yeah, because that's because he was on PJ.
Well, yeah, but I just mean it's
and even PJ took advantage of that by going dominating,
crash the boards,
offensive rebounds.
Yeah, but they didn't use him in actions, which now seeing the way
because PJ is not a ball handler. See, the thing is, if like PJ is not here, obviously in these lineups, let's say it's Drew Holiday, Jevon / George, Chris, Bobby, Giannis. That's different than if it's Drew, PJ, Jevon, or Chris, Giannis, Bobby, for instance, right? That's different because PJ is not a guy who's capable of creating offense.
No, but he probably should have, seeing out those seasons he's having in Miami, been used as a screener. That's how they should have done it. Why didn't he go screen for someone?
I don't know, because we even talked about it last postseason in the sense that PJ was like, I'm not going to do anything on the offensive end because I'm exerting too much energy on the defensive end.
That was Nets series, PJ. I think PJ could have exerted a little more offensively against the Hawks. I'm just saying, like, if PJ goes and sets a good screen for, probably can't do Giannis's man because he's sagging too much, but Chris or Drew, either if it's a good screen, like, you then have Trae on those guys. Like, I think that would have been worth exploring, even if PJ, isn't an offensive mastermind or anything. But it is what it is. It worked out for the Bucks clearly. But I think that could even be something too, where, why not do the inverse pick and roll the Bucks like so much if you have Jevon out there and Trae is on him. Like Jevon comes over to Giannis's guy or even Chris's guy. Like mix it up more. I think no matter who the personnel is, they need to be better to a certain extent. In that
situation, George Hill is bigger. So
yeah, I mean that's fine. I just think either way, I think they should, whoever it is. Like I don't think the default should be, whoever is being used to hide a bad defender should always like have to handle the ball. George can do it though, which is nice.
Exactly. Like this roster this season compared to last season is more tilted or skewed towards creators versus non-creators, which is the opposite last season.
Yeah. Although I still think I think Bud really likes the Jevon Carter, Drew Holiday, Wes Matthews trio together, and they've had a good a good net rating, and I think that is certainly.
Oh yeah, I wonder why they have a good net rating. No, how are you supposed to score on that?
Exactly. So this is going to be like the funkiest part is figuring out if Jevon plays, which maybe he just doesn't. Maybe that's at least how he starts.
Okay, let's get this straight. Both of them are going to play.
I don't know.
Maybe I think they both will.
You think they're both going to play in like every game?
Probably not every game.
That's what I mean. I mean, there's going to be some game like game one. I don't know if Jevon plays. I think he should.
I think both play.
Yeah, I suppose. Well,
game one of any series, game 1 and 2 of any series, they both play.
Yeah, I think probably should just get this out of the way to just be clear. I think there's going to be a lot of early series experimentation and tinkering that determines who ultimately plays.
So, yeah, it's like that's what happens every series, to be clear.
So, do you think all 11 guys will play in game one of every series? I don't.
Might have.
I don't.
No,
let's wait. It's a different position group. Let's wait until we get there. I think 10 play at least. I don't think 11 play. But okay, so we'll say Javon and George both play a bit, at least That's early fair. In every series.
Fair. And then the matchup will dictate which one gets the minute allocation going forward.
Yeah, and maybe just how both are playing.
Yeah, the to sum up this conversation, they're both on equal footing.
Yeah, which is wild to think about.
Yeah, props to Javon.
I mean, it's obviously the injury is devastating. We're hoping for the best, but I don't think that would have applied to DeAndre Bembry. And we'll move to the wing rotation right now. That's all the guards. I think they miss him for sure, but assuming Pat gets back healthy, I just don't think there was really going to be minutes. Who knows? Maybe if he had the chance to play more, he could have earned it. But prior to the injury, I think Javon had played his way into potentially more of a role. Bembry seemed to still be getting his footing as a Buck.
That's fair. I think that's fair to say. So are we done with guards?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I had 14 for Javon and none for George Hill, and that fit for the rest of my allocation. But we can just say 7-ish for each for now, and then it changes as the series goes forward.
Yeah, that's fair.
A smaller role. If we assume they both play, that neither of them will probably play a whole lot if everyone else is healthy. Okay, so again, it's easy to start off here. Chris Middleton, 40 minutes. And
probably more, honestly.
I think he did average around 40 overall.
40.1.
Yeah. But
he led the team in minutes per game in the postseason.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, because Giannis got hurt and foul trouble. I was surprised Drew was lower. Did Drew never got hurt in the playoffs? Was 2. Yeah, he was right there. But
they're both very, very close. Drew was 39.6. Chris is 40.1.
Okay, so half a minute. Okay. So now, just a quick disclaimer. I did the minutes thing earlier. It sort of applies to guard. You can't really say it's 96, 48 though, because the Bucks are going to play more big minutes than that because Giannis is going to play next to another big a lot of the time. So let's just throw out the 96 and 48 numbers and just talk about total minutes.
Let's just throw out the minute numbers and just do total minute numbers. And just do
I think it's kind of a good idea to keep the differences in mind. Just think of them as rough numbers.
Yes. So Chris is going to be a lot.
Yeah.
Let's say 40 again.
I think this is an interesting one to think about, though. What's Pat going to... Assuming Pat looks fine and is ready by the playoffs. He's shooting. He hasn't played yet. Assuming... I think he's probably going to play in the next couple games. If he looks good, if his conditioning...
I think the latest update from Bud before the Kings game was that he needs one more practice-like setting.
Okay. So potentially could play against the Wolves. If not, probably the Bulls.
I'd say for sure by the Bulls game.
Yeah. And again, he has only been out... only compared to the Bucks' other injuries, he's only been out for 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and it was a hand. So his conditioning, it should be less of a process. So let's assume Pat is good to go and play his usual minutes. I think
shooting hand injuries concern me though.
They concern me, but it's not we don't need to see is he able to move around well? Is what I mean.
That's true.
If the hand is good,
the shot concerns me.
Yeah, we'll see. He's back to shooting again. It'll be interesting. In the playoffs last season,
23.7.
Yes, he was 6th on the team, behind obviously the 5 starters. Oh wait, what'd you say?
Yeah, he's at 23.7.
Oh, they said 26. 23.7. Yeah. What do you have him at this year? More or less than that?
Probably, maybe a little less. I'd say.
I have it pretty much. I think I put it down 25.
I think it might be the same.
I think it's going to be pretty similar.
It has to be, right?
I don't know. The interesting thing is, so Pat was so necessary and he rose to the occasion. With the personnel they have, is he as necessary this year?
Yes.
Is he? I don't think he's I think he's necessary. I don't think he's as crucial.
Okay, that's fair. But
I think West fills in a bit.
I still think he's a very, very crucial player to this team.
I cannot wait to see how the coaching staff manages like playing all of these guys, because
we can't even do it, and we're podcasters.
And we can do anything, but like, what is Pat's role exactly? Is he just do it, like reliable guy who can do a little bit of
Jack
everything?
of all trades. He's the Swiss Army knife of this Bucks team.
I agree, and I think that's such an interesting one, because do you prefer that or more of a specialist kind of option? Does it depend on the series? I think you always kind of roll with that. But, Pat's more likely to be picked on than Wes Matthews. Offensively.
And Pat's no slouch defensively.
No, he's not. I guess actually, honestly, he's probably still like the best offensive option coming off of the bench outside of Bobby.
Yeah, he's a capable floor spacing threat. Again, we'll see what the shot looks like. But even not even in just terms of hitting shots, but the type of shots he hits, he can hit deep threes. He can hit pull-ups. He can hit threes off movement. That's something that Wes has struggled a lot with this season. If he's coming off a screen, you're lucky if that thing's hitting rim.
And I will say, Pat attacking the basket has been way better this year. You can tell that was a focus for him as well. So I guess, he's their perimeter player, their designated perimeter player to score coming off of the bench. So I think there's probably no reason to worry about his minutes as long as he's healthy. So I think 25 is a good estimate, somewhere around where it was last year. Or should it be less and with more good players?
No, because it depends his position as well. Like, he's a guy who can slide up to the 2, like we mentioned earlier. He can also slide down to the 4. Yeah. And that might honestly be his best position from what we've seen this season. It feels like it's been so long since we've seen Pat.
I know. I miss him a lot. Yeah, it's felt more and more as the games have gone on. It'll be exciting to get him back.
He's just a guy who looks like he's returning from a trip to the Hamptons on the bench.
He has good bench fits.
Mint green pants. Would you try mint green pants, Ty?
I don't know.
What's the most bold colored pants you've ever worn?
I've rocked some salmon shorts before. It'd have to be shorts, not pants. I have not gone that bold with my pants colors.
Really?
Yeah. Now I feel I need a pair.
I've done red pants.
Oh, how'd it go?
Good. I still use them.
Nice. Okay, enough about pants. So that we actually have Pat slotted for, so far, more than all minutes except for Chris and Drew. Between guard, assuming you have Wes at less than him. So he will play the third most minutes out of quote unquote perimeter players, not bigs. And maybe fourth most overall. Obviously, Giannis will have more. But does that speak to us not trusting Grayson Allen?
I think it does, but I think it also speaks more to Pat's value.
Yeah.
And his versatility. Like, let's say you're not getting good production, like I mentioned earlier, at the 2, you can slide up there. If you need to have lineups where you just have absolute peak movement and shooting around Giannis at the 5, Pat will slide down to the 4. It's going to be so heavily dependent on matchup and what the team needs. And the thing is, Pat fits any lineup. You want to go play a super, super big lineup? Yeah, sure. Slide Pat Connaughton over at a guard spot. You want to play, like I said earlier, like a run and gun team? Yeah, Pat's of course he's going to be in there. He fits all different lineup types. Again, maybe not the defensive one because they have better options this season.
Just because they have so many great defenders.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But he's definitely capable of being someone in that group.
Here's a question. And I don't mean to just pick on Grayson, but if he's not really being used as a ball handler, which I think the Bucks just have not gotten that much since the preseason, basically, he just hasn't used that many possessions there. What does he actually do better than Pat?
I think he's he's definitely a better shooter, I think.
Is he anymore?
I think so.
Pat's slightly higher percentage on half a make less per game this season.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're not buying it?
No, I mean, percentage is not the only thing that dictates what a shooter is, in my opinion. I think Grayson is better, more capable of being integrated into an offense better than Pat.
Maybe.
He's more dangerous.
Who would you trust more to hit a big shot?
Oh, Pat, 100%. Yeah. No, I mean, we've seen Grayson do that this year, though.
In regular season. There is a difference.
We haven't seen Grayson in the playoffs.
I know. Also, Pat shooting a ludicrous 64% from 2 this season.
That's ridiculous.
If Pat takes a 2, that thing is in, man. That's a ridiculous number. You can't even hold that against Grayson shooting 50% from 2, which is pretty damn good. But Pat's just on another level. I think they probably just keep the starters and close with Pat anyway. But I don't know.
I think Grayson's a more fluid ball handler.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh, for 100%. Sure. Yeah. I was writing that off just because they never have him do it. But
yeah, but he is capable. I'm having flashbacks just thinking about that step back 3 over Marcus Smart to send the game to overtime. It's just that feels like eons ago, doesn't it?
It was eons ago. That was pre-Brook Lopez.
It was.
Season is
last week was pre-Brook.
And it was a worse time.
It was a worse
time to be alive. Wes Matthews. How much is he going to play?
15.
I had 20.
I'm specialist only.
I think 15 is better than 20. I think 15 is good.
15 because he's going to be a guy, like you said earlier, he's definitely going to be playing, and he should be playing. He's a very good defender. It's the offense that concerns me.
Yeah.
I still think he's going to play, though.
Did you see the stat from Stocks last night?
Oh no, what was it?
He's hit multiple threes in back-to-back games, 2 threes in each game, but still. He had not hit 2 threes in a single game for 2 months.
Yeah, I do.
January 13th until March 16th, 1 or less threes every game, and then not until the last 2 games, I should say.
That's what we call a slump, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a major, major slump. Let's do closing lineups against different kind of matchups at the end. Let's just do minutes.
I agree.
I think 15 is good though, for the same reasons you said. Specialist, the offense just isn't as reliable, and assuming Pat is back and able to play, I think he just eats up some of those minutes that, like, Wes is basically closing right now. I think Pat would be if he was healthy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. Like you said, we're going to get into matchups later, but I think he's the primary KD defender.
I think he's one of them. I don't know if they have such a thing anymore.
They don't. They really don't. Miss you, PJ.
Yeah.
Hope you flame out in the first round. You know what's a fun stat, by the way, when I was looking this up? You know, the only team that didn't win a playoff game last season was the Miami Heat.
A single game? Wow.
That was the only sweep.
In the whole post. Oh, yeah, I guess they usually happen in the first round. That's fun. Let's make it 2 straight years.
Yeah, let's do it.
Then, it would be great if the Bucks did that, because then imagine, like, the Wolves get a game off of somebody, and you could be like, the Wolves have as many playoff wins in 1 year as the Heat do in 2 years. That would be awesome.
Oh, my goodness. That'd be incredible.
I don't think that's happening.
Unfortunately, are not getting swept.
I don't think so. We'll see.
I don't think so.
We'll see. Imagine the Nets just dust the Heat in 4 games.
Oh, my goodness. I would cry. Sorry to our Heat listeners.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what you signed up for.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think they would say the same. Let's talk about the bigs. I put Giannis 38 minutes. Usually plays a little less than Chris and Drew.
Yeah, that's fair.
By the end of a series, probably 42, 44 minutes. But just the way Giannis plays, I think the Bucks would rather have closer to 100% Giannis more. And if that means a minute here and there without him, I think that's a good trade.
Yeah, completely agree. 38, slot him in.
I think what's funny is earlier I would have thought I wanted him as the lone big more. I've kind of changed my mind on that. I have Brook second among big guys in a typical game with 25-ish minutes.
Yeah, so that's down. He played 29 minutes a game last postseason.
Yeah.
I think that is coming down for sure.
Yeah.
I'd say around 20, 25 is fair.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see how these next 12 games go before the postseason, but you don't want to rush anything.
No.
Obviously, especially with a guy with his age, Brook Lopez, back injury. Don't want to rush him. And also, they have more options this season.
They have one more option, which is good.
They actually have a backup center this year.
The Rolo situation.
It is the Rolo situation, but I think it could be utilized better.
Maybe. We can just go to Serge and then we'll finish with Bobby. Because Serge is obviously who we're talking about. Bobby's going to play too. I think Bobby plays in every series. Probably in every game. I think he's more important now. I think his role could be severely reduced. I don't think we're going to see a series where he gets 3 straight DNPs. I don't think that's going to happen again.
That's not going to happen.
I will say, I think his defense is looking a little better lately.
It is.
I think he's making some strides.
Yeah, he's definitely making some strides now that he's used to being in a more aggressive scheme. And you can totally tell it's definitely personnel dependent. Like, can you imagine if they threw Brook Lopez out there and said, "Oh yeah, go blitz that pick and roll at the top"?
I think it might work.
I think it'd be really funny.
It would be hilarious. Brook would also have to check out after 5 minutes. Like that is not like, Brook is not built for that.
Are you running me into the ground right now? What are you doing? I get that I missed a lot of time. Is this how you're punishing me?
I think it's actually, we've talked about, Bucks culture and putting guys in good spots. I think it's real. Like they just made the fundamental decision of like, we just can't approach Bobby like a center. And that was this whole season, right? They were like, we're not going to drop with him. It doesn't work. Like they were trying to use him as more of a center and it didn't work. Bobby and drop is bad. Bobby and switching, also not ideal. The blitzing, I think, gives them a better shot. I think he's held up well. And I think honestly,
he's held up really well. He's gotten the timing well. The team has figured out the rotations well. I think they're much, much more capable, better
suited.
Yeah. Better suited, that's the term I'm looking for, thank you. Better suited to execute that type of scheme in pressure situations now that they've been doing it essentially all year.
I also think they've gotten better at like scram switching or just denying screens and keeping him on bigs. And I think he looks pretty good when most big guys attack him. Like you don't want him guarding Embiid for a long time or anything, but like,
that would go very poorly.
So yeah, but Sabonis is going after him. I thought he did a good job. So like one-on-ones, as long as it's not like a perimeter star like a Jason Tatum, I feel okay.
I feel like Bobby can take Tatum.
Didn't go well earlier this season.
That's a joke.
But Serge Ibaka. So I have my minutes broken up as like versus small team versus big team and then closeout game. I have Serge at 0 minutes against a small team and 12 minutes versus a big team.
Yeah, I just have him at 10.
Just straight 10?
Straight 10. And again, see how the series evolves.
See, I don't think he touches the floor against Brooklyn. I would be shocked.
I think he does.
I don't think so. Because I think the Bucks, I think it's just easier to not have him on the floor more because Brooks always going to play. And I just think the way the Nets defend, you'd rather have more spacing and more switchability than more big guys. I think you're going to play some big guy minutes. Again, Brook will play, but I don't think you're going to double that up. It wouldn't be doubled because, Brook would play more than Serge, but I don't think you want to add that much to it. So I think Serge is the most likely Bobby Portis-esque guy who may just not see the floor in some matchups. And then against the Sixers, it could be more than 12 minutes a game. It could be whatever Brook can't play, Serge is in for every minute. That would not surprise me at all. Maybe the Cavs. You're just less worried about the Cavs.
Yeah.
I think the Cavs 15, but I think if Brook plays 24 minutes against the Sixers, Serge might play 24 minutes against the Sixers.
That's fair. And also, we'll see if this trend continues of Brook being in foul trouble. Because then if Brook's in foul trouble, it's like, okay, it's fine. We still have Serge.
Yep. Yeah. So I think he is, in some series, going to be a very important role player. In other series, going to be a break glass in case of emergency guy. And I don't think you could find a better qualified break glass in case of emergency guy.
For sure. 100%. He's way over.
You see him as more, but you agree with that statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Against Brooklyn, though, I could see him play. I definitely think he could play. And the reason I say that is if they just want to smother the Nets. Because the Nets just have no front court.
No.
What's their front court?
They missed Drummond a lot. Drummond's been pretty good.
Yeah, Drummond's been great for them.
Yeah,
ever since he came to that trade.
Oh, that's right. I thought he went the other way. I'm mixed up. So they have Drummond and that's it.
Yeah, they have Drummond and Claxton.
Yeah. Well, Claxton just is not. He doesn't weaponize his size. There's not enough size there. Not enough bulk there. Drummond kind of does.
Drummond's he's a bulky dude.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's their front court rotation.
LaMarcus.
LaMarcus. Blake Griffin's been excised. They miss LaMarcus too.
Yeah.
My 6th man of the year pick.
We think he's going to be back, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. But I think so. Let's say LaMarcus or even Claxton. Like, why would you not want just more like Bobby, let's say, against those guys than Serge?
Because I think in terms of like, if you want to if you're smothering teams, you want to be smothering them on the defensive end.
Yeah, I get that.
So, Serge.
But the way the Nets use I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. Just because the Nets are so small now that I wonder if the Bucks will just want to default to just being more switchable.
Yeah, but we saw that in the Nets series last year. Like Brook Lopez played a big role in that series.
Yeah,
like, there's definitely a role for bigs to be played in that series.
There is, but I just don't know if there's a role for two bigs. And again, we'll see. What Brooks' foul trouble and conditioning and everything is by then.
Yeah, I think more of the surge minutes is going to come at the expense of the surge is going to be a result of Brook Lopez just a little bit of decline.
That could be. I think I'm more open to that than just it being entirely like a schematic decision.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, Brook, it's like we want to have, let's say, 27 minutes of Brook Lopez. Okay, but Brook can only play 20.
Yeah.
So let's get that 7 minutes in through Serge Ibaka.
And yeah, last time Brook played 33 minutes per game against the Nets.
Yeah.
He actually played more than PJ Tucker because PJ picked up 29 fouls in the 7 games.
Yep.
Which is by far most on the team. Giannis had 20, actually. But yeah, I think that's fair. I think we'll see him a lot. I think Serge Ibaka's role then to a more safer statement will probably vary the most matchup to matchup, I think.
It's definitely going to be the most minimized, like you said.
Yeah.
Out of him, Brook, and Bobby.
Well, I guess him or one of Hill, Carter. I think we'll see the biggest shifts depending on matchups.
That's fair.
But I think those are really the two swing spots, is like Serge versus just playing smaller, and Carter and Hill just based on, matchup or preference or however they're going. I think like we mentioned Bobby a little. I have Bobby here down for like 18, which I think is actually more than he played last postseason.
18.3.
Oh, so it's right on. I guess maybe then I'm full of crap saying I don't think he's going to play more or more often. Although I guess DMPs don't count against your minutes per game.
True. He's going to have a bigger role, but in terms of like minutes per game, I feel like that might remain the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's also going to be a 4. We should make that distinction. Like we started this episode off talking about Brook and talking about him starting. If Brook is starting, Bobby's the backup 4.
What would you consider if he's out there with Giannis? Is Giannis the 5? Probably. Yeah. They're both 4-y. But yeah, Giannis is probably closer. Yeah. Although
I'd much rather have Giannis as a rim protector.
It's worth pointing out though that when those two play together now, oftentimes they give Giannis a forward so he can range, and they let Bobby guard a big. So I think it's going to be entirely matchup dependent.
Yeah. But like we saw that last regular season too. And then when it came playoff time, like Bobby was the backup center all of last regular season.
Yeah.
Playoffs came around. Oh, by the way, you're a 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is your true role. And now it's due to Brooks' injury. Oh yeah. By the way, you're a starting 5 now.
Yeah. And he held up pretty damn well.
He did. And he continues to. He's still the starter.
And I think he has taken strides forward. So yeah, I expect to see him every night. I just think the minutes it's kind of the same reason as Grayson, right? Like you like what he can give you, but you just don't want him out there too much.
Yeah, it's like too much of a good thing isn't a good thing.
Yeah. But too much of a not good thing is also not good.
Yes. Not good things remain not good.
Yeah.
Good things can also be not good. Quote me, 2020. I had a point that I was going to make.
Something about Bobby or Serge?
Oh, yeah. Like Bobby, I think is going to be, like you said, Bobby, similar situation as Grayson. But yeah, he's just too important to this team.
Oh,
he's going to be playing.
We got Marcus Johnson on the low post today.
What?
Yeah, it's going to be fire.
Oh, let's go.
I was derailed by Twitter notifications. Shout out Marcus Johnson, who rocks. Okay, so that's all the players who we expect to play. And we think
Thanasis 40 minutes a game.
Thanasis 40 minutes in the entire postseason.
Yeah. Also, you know what's fun? I forgot Justin Jackson was on the team.
Oh God. Did he get a ring on ring night? Was he there? Was he one of the guys who was there? I don't think so.
Axel was there.
Axel was the star of ring night. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Justin Jackson played 5 games in the postseason last year.
It's all blowouts though, right?
3 minutes a game.
Because I don't remember. Because I think Elijah Bryant got into real games. I don't think Justin Jackson did.
Oh my God, I forgot Elijah Bryant got into real games.
Yeah.
Justin Jackson, 3 of 5 from the field during the postseason last year. 0 of 2 from 3. Made all his 2s. Missed all his 3s.
That's a good sign.
Is it? Is it a good sign, Ty?
So if you look at to re-emphasize the difference in depth, if you look at games played in the playoffs, Chris, Drew, Brooke, PJ, Pat all played every game. Only PJ is gone. Giannis missed the 2 games with injury. Then Bobby played 20, and then Bryn Forbes played 20. So he's gone. And then after that was the top 8. Then it's Teague, Thanasis, Elijah Bryant, Sam Merrill in order of games played. So that gets you to 12. And we are getting to 11 without PJ Tucker or Bryn Forbes now. So the 11th guy now is either George Hill or Serge Ibaka or Javon Carter compared to Elijah Bryant in number of playoff games played.
We need to get Jordan on here, our Israeli correspondent. Talk about Elijah Bryant.
I should say that is muddled because Dante got hurt so fast. So yes. If you include Dante, then Thanasis is 11. But still, like Teague, Thanasis, Forbes was the bottom 3 to start last time. And now it's Javon Carter, George Hill, Serge Ibaka, which feels a lot better.
Yeah, it's great. Justin Jackson was on a 2-way, right?
I think so, yeah. I think him and Axel were the 2-ways.
Was it Axel on a 2-way?
Yeah, Axel was on a 2-way.
Interesting.
They changed the rules so he barely qualified.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was so flabbergasted by seeing Justin Jackson on this list.
The Bucks roster from last year's. Yeah. Let's talk matchups.
So this is not going to be a full playoff preview, obviously.
No, that'll happen. We'll get there.
It will, but not right now. No. We're just going to take a look at some teams, some potential first round foes, some titans of the conference, and see what would be closing lineups for these teams. So as of right now, as the seeding is currently constructed, which is always subject to change, the Bucks would be playing the winner of Toronto-Brooklyn in the first round. The winner of that play-in game would be facing the Bucks. The game would be in Toronto. I'd still think it'd be the Nets.
I don't know.
Have you met Kevin Durant?
I have. The Nets.
You have?
No. Oh, I guess I haven't personally. The Raptors have got to be like one of the better play-in teams that we've seen, and I think certainly one of the better equipped to guard someone like KD. I don't think they can do it.
Yeah. I should also mention that the Raptors are currently tied with the Cavs in terms of win-loss record.
Yeah, if the Cavs get it, then the Nets are in 7 because there's no way Kyrie and KD are going to lose to the Cavs. I'm sorry. The Cavs, who are just eternally banged up.
Jared Allen should be coming back soon, though.
Yeah, but Garland's back is still... It was a good season. Please avoid 7, Cleveland, or I don't know if you're going to get in at all at this point.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Can I just say quickly? We probably won't talk about them much. They're big. They're kind of a weird matchup. The Cavs are the least threatening team in the entire top 8. I don't know. There's still some Bucks fans who think, "Oh, the Cavs. We don't want to see the Cavs. They have the size." The Cavs are losing in 5 games to the Bucks, if 5. Like
I think 4.
They're not there. They're just not there. Jared Allen and Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are not going to beat Giannis, Chris, and Drew. I'm sorry. They don't have the depth. Their guys aren't ready yet. They're a good team. They're not this level of team.
I don't know. Kevin Love.
It does exist. Yeah, okay.
Dean Wade.
Bunch of guys who are going to get put in blenders.
Trying to think of more players that are just random.
Isaac Okoro.
Yeah,
Brandon Goodwin.
Okoro. Oh my goodness.
Moses Isaac Brown. They're a good team. They're a fine team. They're a fun team. They're not hanging with the Bucks. They're not hanging with the Bucks. If the Bucks draw the Cavs,
who do you think the Cavs could beat in the first round of the East?
Bulls. For sure, the Bulls.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for the Bulls.
I don't. No, they got so Bulls fans were just so like they acted like they'd never been there before, and the ones our age haven't, but the old should at least remember what it's like to actually be good.
Yeah. I mean, like they still were there, and they've made the conference finals like last decade.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Sixers haven't done that in like 20 years.
The Blazers have done that too. I mean, it's not.
Again, the Sixers haven't done it in a long time.
I know. I like that you worked it to Sixers slander.
Always will.
Okay, do you want to talk about Nets matchup or closing lineup?
Yeah, let's talk Nets. We already talked a bit about how this matchup would go. My closing lineup against the Brooklyn Nets will come after you say yours.
Wow. I feel like I was baited. I want to look back to like game 7, but I'm pretty sure I know what it is anyway. I forgot that game went into overtimes.
It was 1 overtime.
1 overtime?
Yeah.
Was it really? How many minutes is an overtime?
5.
Oh, I thought they were shorter for some reason. Yeah, you're right. Drew, Chris, Pat, Giannis, Brooke.
Yeah.
That is my closing lineup, I think, for a lot of series. Just not the. Honestly, it might be almost. I don't know how much I'm going to change it.
I think the one thing you might be able to add Wes Matthews. Maybe.
Yeah. For Brooke or for Pat?
Pat.
See, I think it's almost more likely you add him for Brooke, just depending on how Brooke is looking and holding up.
No, I think you have to have Brooke out there because we saw it last year. Even when the Nets didn't have a front court last year, Brooke was still able to be a dominant force. That's not going to change.
Well, depending how he looks and everything. It's more of an injury consideration.
Yes. So I think, that's valid. I think there is a chance that Brook Lopez is not out there. But if it is, it's not because the Nets figured out Brook Lopez. It's because Brook Lopez is hampered.
Yeah, I was going to say, could it not just be because the Bucks have more personnel now? But if you just kind of assume West is PJ and PJ is West, they still didn't close small when they didn't have to. Like, they still went with Brook when they could have gone with Pat and PJ more. Brook played 46 minutes in Game 7. So
those minutes, didn't Chris play 50 or something?
52. That's why I was looking. I was like, that has to be more than 1 overtime, right? That's a crazy amount of minutes.
He sat for 1 minute in that game.
Less, 52-21. He sat for 39 seconds in that game.
That's ridiculous.
Giannis played 50 minutes too.
How much did KD play in that game?
I think he did all of it, right?
I think, did
53.
he? Yeah.
KD and Harden.
He played all of it. Harden played 53 as well.
Bruce Brown played 52 minutes in that game.
Oh my goodness. And they wonder why they lost.
They wonder. I can't believe. I mean, I guess neither of them are perfectly healthy, but no wonder those guys have had long, hard seasons this year. I mean, that's a crazy amount of load.
Yeah, KD was playing every minute of that series.
With the last 3 games?
From Game 2. Yeah.
I don't think he did the whole series, but damn near.
No, Game 2 he sat a lot because it was a blowout. That's the game where my internet cut out, and I was just tweeting out Minecraft.
That's the... Let's see, how many... KD averaged... Oh, no, he only averaged 42 minutes. Oh, only. But he averaged 42 minutes, nearly 43 minutes per game that series. Which I was almost like, did he average 49 minutes a game?
No, I think games 5, 6, and 7 he played the majority. I think he sat for 2 total minutes.
He played 48 in 5. They gave him some time off in game 6 because I think the Bucks were up too much by the end. So he only played 40 and a half minutes that game.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Because I think I remember they kind of punted and we were surprised.
Yes. That's what happened. So yeah, I think we have the same basic closing 5 for those lineups. Just it could be interchanged. I could interchange maybe West for Pat, depending on how the defense is holding up.
Yeah.
And maybe West for Brooke. I don't think anyone else really touches the floor. Maybe George Hill if they're going super small.
Or Javon. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I don't think it would ever, unless it's an injury consideration, I'd be pretty surprised if it was a different big in for Brooke. I don't think that's very likely. Serge or Bobby, I could not see that happening.
No. I think we're in agreement there.
Yeah.
So if that were to hold and no upsets occur, the Bucks would be playing the winner of the 3-6 matchup, which would be Philly and Cleveland. So they'd be playing the Cavaliers.
Okay.
Or the Philadelphia 76ers.
Let's talk about Philly. So is it the same, or do you want to change it?
I'd potentially want to change it.
Oh, what are you adding?
I think this is tough because Philly is a very different team. Obviously, you have to have size. You have to have size against Embiid. So Brooke is there.
Yeah.
Giannis, Chris, and Drew are there.
Yeah.
So it's just the fifth guy. Is it going to be Pat Connaughton for the series? I don't think so because the Sixers trend small in their guards. And who do you like if you're having guards out there? The Sixers are going to close with Tyrese Maxey and James Harden. Do you want Pat guarding one of those two?
No, but I think you can hide him against the Sixers, and it wouldn't be that tough.
Put him on Tobias?
Or Tybal.
Tybal might not play.
You don't think so?
He might not. He hasn't been playing.
Who would the fifth guy be? It's the two guards, Tobias, Embiid. They have to put somebody there who's not very threatening. Yeah, Tobias is. What'd you say?
I said I guess, but like they don't necessarily have to play Tybal.
No, you gotta play somebody. There has to be a fifth guy out there. I think like I'm not that worried about Pat on Tobias. To be clear, I would rather put him on someone even less threatening. But that doesn't. I mean, Tobias is so off and on, and Pat's strong enough.
I mean, they probably will just close with Danny Green.
Him or Niang?
I think it's Danny Green over Niang.
Maybe. Are you worried about Pat on any of those guys, though? And are they going to use those guys in actions enough to get him on to Harden or Maxey?
I think I would rather have Chris guard one of those guys.
Well, yeah, but there's two of them. Oh, I guess I see what you're saying. Chris would need to guard like one of the smaller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it that way as much. So you want thinking like Javon or West, depending on who you want.
Javon, West, or Hill.
Yeah.
I think one of those three rather than Pat.
Do we like Javon/Hill on Maxey more, or do we like Wes on Harden more?
I think we have Drew on Harden.
No, I know, but I'm saying Drew is going to guard one of them. So would you rather have Wes for Harden, or would you rather have a smaller guy for Maxey?
Smaller guy for Maxey.
I'm not sure.
Like, I'd rather have George Hill or Javon Carter on Tyrese Maxey. Would you rather have one of those two on Harden and have Drew on Tyrese?
Maybe.
Why?
Because do we trust Harden in the playoffs?
Whether we trust him or not, he's going to have the ball.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you want to just sit Drew Holiday off ball?
Well, I don't know if he's all. I mean, Embiid's going to have the ball a lot too. I think Drew is going to cause chaos. I think Maxey's going to touch the ball. I don't think he's never going to touch it.
Yeah, that's why I'd rather have like George or Javon on him.
Yeah. I think there's going to be some games where maybe he's more of a problem than James Harden.
Yeah, but if we're talking just purely closing, James Harden, it's going to be Harden and Embiid actions.
Yeah, probably.
I don't even think I think it's certain.
I mean, we've seen James Harden close the playoff games on the bench as Josh Smith and Corey Brewer. Oh, so I don't think it's certain. I think it's far from certain. He didn't check back into that game.
He did not.
He just sat there. Game. Yeah. Wonder why they won it. Win.
That is one of the craziest series of all time.
I'm just saying. Call me a James Harden hater if you would like. I have documented evidence.
Again, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I know. I'm certain there's people who are listening to this who are spitting out drinks right now. I think you probably go with a smaller guy on Maxey and Drew on Harden.
Yeah. So would you still have Pat in your closing five then?
No, then I wouldn't, because you need a center, and you're not going to. Obviously, Chris and Giannis are going to play.
And also, Brooke has also sneakily been one of the best Embiid defenders.
Yeah, he's just so big and strong. Embiid's going to shoot over him a lot. You're just going to have to live with those shots.
Yeah, and if your entire offense wants to be pick and pop with Embiid, go for it. Be my guest.
Also, not even just out of post-ups, he's going to be able to shoot.
I know, but if you like want to exploit a drop defense, I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah.
Like Embiid will shoot him. They'll shoot him.
Yeah. But again, yeah, I think at a certain point, you kind of just have to live with that and pick a poison and hope he wears down. But I think help defense is going to be crucial in that series. And that, like, being able to put Giannis on, I mean, if it's Tybalt, that's a dream. But even if it's Niang or Tobias, like if Giannis is in that airspace, he's going to help contest those jumpers too.
Yeah. Like, I think you're going to help off of those guys. Here's a question. Are you worried about Philly against the Bucks?
A little. I think top end, they're probably the scariest team because they're deeper.
Yeah. I think they're the biggest threat to the Bucks in the East.
They have the best non-Bucks big three in the East, I think. Because I don't count Ben Simmons as a player at this point, so Brooklyn doesn't really have one.
Yeah, and the other is Lowry, Jimmy, and Bam.
Yeah. And I mean, you can say Maxey is sixth out of those guys, but you can
Harden
also
and
say
are 1 and 2.
Yeah, Embiid is 1 for sure. Harden's probably 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they definitely have the best big three. I think they have the second highest ceiling in the East.
Yeah, they have good role players too. Tobias is one of those guys who could randomly shoot like 45% in a series and swing it, or probably more likely shoot 20% in a series and swing it the other way. But
plus Danny Green in the playoffs.
I don't know if that's a thing anymore.
I mean, he's won titles, but in those title teams, it's not like he's been Steph Curry.
He's actually, last year was funny enough with Philly, was his best shooting year in quite a while. The seasons before that.
What happened? They lost.
34% from deep, 33%, 25%, 34% in his last 4 postseasons prior to. Yeah. And again,
they lost a game 7 on their home floor to Atlanta.
They won 2 rings in 2 of those years, his teams. So, but yeah.
Back to back?
Yeah, Danny Green, it just doesn't scare me that much.
No. But the Sixers are probably the biggest threat.
Yeah. What about Heat?
Heat would potentially be the conference finals then.
Yeah.
Heat, I think you honestly, you just ride with the starters. I'm putting Grayson in.
Oh, I'm not. I would do probably Pat.
I'm putting Grayson. Like, why not have some shooting?
But you guys still have some shooting.
A more dynamic shooting.
Yeah.
More dynamic offense.
No, I'm not closing with Grayson ever. I'm closing with Pat. I trust him more.
I'm not worried about like the Heat attacking Grayson Allen with Gabe Vincent.
Who would realistically be the one attacking him?
It'd be Tyler Hero.
I don't want that at all. No, I'm putting. Actually, you if they close with Hero, Lowry, Butler, you could maybe talk me into Javon or Hill. Because I don't think I want Wes or Chris guarding Hero or Lowry.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funky matchup. We just haven't really seen them with all of their guys because they've been so banged up. But if Hero is closing, then you probably want like Javon Carter out there.
Yeah. So who would the Heat close with? They'd close with Lowry. They'd close with Hero. They'd close with Butler, Bam, and who else?
PJ or Robinson?
PJ. No, they're going to close with PJ.
I don't know if they can.
They have been and they will.
That offense is a mess.
Yeah, the offense. Why do you think the offense has been a mess?
That's terrible. Like, there's no. So then I think you do go Javon and just say, like, we're just not going to let you score ever.
See, the thing is, I think even with Grayson out there, you can still not be too worried about the Heat scoring.
I just think, like, I think the way Hero scores, if that's the guy you're putting him on, he gets open without getting far enough a lot of the time to even draw a help defender. Like, he shoots so many pull-ups effectively.
So would you rather have Chris on him?
No, I'd rather have one of Carter or Hill Drew on him.
I'd put a bigger guy on him.
I think I'd probably put Drew on him and put the guard on Lowry, because Lowry's easier to guard because I think you kind of just let him shoot at a certain point.
Yeah.
Hero is their most dangerous offensive player to me.
Oh, without a doubt.
Based on what I've seen.
Without a doubt. Like last season, thinking back to the last season series, they were running their offense through Goran Dragic. Because what is Jimmy Butler going to do anything?
I think you got Giannis on him.
Yeah.
Or PJ, I guess.
No, you have Giannis on Jimmy.
Yeah. And then you just put Chris on PJ or Duncan?
Yeah, I think so.
Or do you want Chris? Is Chris Lowry? Is that bad? If you wanted the Pat or Grayson, if you wanted to hide them on a PJ or Duncan?
I think you could do that. It's a lot easier from Milwaukee's perspective in this matchup because they just have a bunch of guys who aren't going to shoot.
The quickness has been on drives. I don't know, regular season versus playoffs, Chris, is a big difference. I'm a little worried about the quickness of Lowry against Chris.
But we've seen Chris hang with guys like who are quick off ball in the playoffs. I'm not too worried about that.
Well, I'm more worried about on ball, though.
Yeah, but if he can do it off ball, he can do it on ball.
I don't know. I think it's different.
That's fair.
On ball, it's more like side to side lateral movement, whereas off ball, it's just like staying in the vicinity.
That's fair.
I think he'll always guard Duncan if it's Duncan. To be clear, I think that's
I just don't think Duncan's going to close.
I just think at a certain, maybe not early.
Fellow Blue Wire podcast.
Yeah, our guy. I think maybe not early, but at a certain point, they might just go like, okay, we need some points, man. Like we just have nothing unless Lowry is shooting hot. We'll see.
Oh, we shall see. But like Butler and Bam don't scare me at all.
Bam a little, and Butler a little too. But this is such a bad matchup for them. This is a really bad defense.
Like I'm saying against this team.
Yeah.
Like, no, they don't scare me.
Yeah. No, I think, honestly, I think
Jimmy can he's not going to shoot one.
I lean defense to close because I don't want to allow Lowry and Harrow to bail out the non-shooters. And that's the Heat game that the Bucks barely won, the last one. That was what happened. I mean, Harrow and Duncan Robinson bailed out Jimmy and Bam, who couldn't do anything. And it's like, I think your chance of winning is higher if you make it harder for those guards because you're putting Jimmy and Bam in such a tough spot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're going to want to close the defense regardless, but I'm saying this is probably a matchup where you can close with a guy like Grayson, and it'd be probably okay.
Yeah, it depends how well you can hide them. They're an oddly small team, the Heat.
Yeah, which is why I'm fine with Grayson out there. Like he moves fast. Like if you stash him on PJ or if you Duncan's out there, like he's quick.
Yeah, it's honest. It's less about that and more about like I just don't know if I like Chris on Lowry Harrow. If those guys both close, which I think they will. I don't love that.
I think Chris on Lowry isn't the worst idea.
Probably, especially if Harrow's doing a lot of the ball and Jimmy is doing some ball handling. Yeah.
Jimmy, what are we doing? What are we talking about here?
What?
Jimmy's not. Come on.
He gets all NBA consideration.
He couldn't even handle an inbounds.
Listen, the guy gets all NBA talk. I would hope that he is handling the ball.
He's good. He's really good. This is just a terrible matchup for them.
How good is he if a matchup can just take you out of a game and a series entirely?
I did say he's like.
There's a ceiling on you. There's a ceiling on your goodness if against the wrong team you're outscored by Bryn Forbes.
Yeah, listen, I didn't say he's an MVP.
No,
I said he's very good.
He is very good. Yeah. We'll see how it goes this year. I would expect
you want to respect Bam shooting, so I guess this is a bad matchup for Brooke. You know,
if the Bucks lose because Bam shoots 60% from mid range,
you're kicked off the pod.
I'm gonna be so conflicted because you keep coming back to this, and I do feel like I'm correct still, but not like this. I don't want it like this. I'd rather be wrong.
Good, because you are.
We'll see.
Are there any other teams in the East we really need to worry about? We should talk. I don't know. Do we talk about the Celtics?
Yeah,
Celtics
I think so.
Decent.
I think the Celtics are outside of the two teams or the three teams we talked about. They're right up there.
So who are the Celtics going to close with?
I think it's probably Tatum, Brown, Smart. I think probably Horford and Time Lord.
Horford and Time Lord, you said?
I think so. I think they like Horford kind of play. So Horford would guard Lopez, and I bet they'd probably put Time Lord on Giannis. I think. And have him drop and just stack the paint.
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe Derek White gets in there for them.
He might. I don't know. I just think the issue with that is like if the Bucks, I assume the Bucks would do Lopez Giannis in this series as well, because there's at least going to be one big out there for Boston. Like what is who's Derek White guarding? Or who is somebody guarding? Because somebody's going to have to guard up by a lot.
Yeah. I mean, like Marcus Smart will guard up. Marcus Smart might be the one that guards Giannis.
I don't think this year. I think they're all in on Time Lord and Horford. I think one of those guys will.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right.
I think it'll probably be let's just say it's Bucks starters for now, or you could slide in Pat. I don't think it matters that much. Smart on Drew, Jalen on Chris, or no, Jalen on the fifth starter, Tatum on Chris, and then the bigs on the bigs. So I'll say Time Lord on Giannis, Horford on Lopez. I think that makes a lot of sense for them.
I think it does. Are you worried about that?
Not particularly. They're a good shooting team. Tatum's really good, and they've been the best defense, for all of 2022. I think they're good. The way they switch is a problem, but I just think the Bucks would probably overwhelm them a bit without needing to rely on switches.
Yeah, because it's like they can take advantage of every matchup, realistically.
Most of them.
Which one can they not?
I mean, Smart on Drew is going to offer a lot of resistance, I think.
That's fair.
And Tatum on Chris isn't easy either.
Yeah, but Chris is going to shoot over anyone.
Yeah. I mean, Tatum is going to shoot over Chris too.
Yes.
So it cancels a little. I think Giannis is going to have to be really good in this series. I think they're gonna play him pretty tough. Ultimately, I think the Bucks would win, but I do think the Sixers are poised to challenge them defensively more than anybody. Sorry, yeah, Celtics more than anybody outside of Miami and Philly.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And that includes the West teams. Like I think those three teams in the East are probably going to be the toughest defenses the Bucks would see.
For sure. What other teams are left? The Bulls. Sorry, Chicago fans.
I mean,
could close with Thanasis out there.
Would you close with Brooke if they're playing Vucevic and all perimeter players?
Yes.
I think you do.
I think you do because
I don't know.
Otherwise, it looks like Patrick Williams is going to come back for them, which is good.
Yeah.
So if let's say he's closing, do you stick Vooch on Giannis and then like Pat Williams on Brook Lopez?
This is why I just don't. It's not even worth discussing. Their Giannis options are so bad that it's
Vooch and Pat Williams.
Yeah, DeMar, Caruso.
God. Oh my God.
Lonzo, like they don't have it. They don't have it. Even if Pat Will is ready to play, I just don't think they have it.
How tall is Pat Williams?
6'7", maybe 6'8".
Pat Williams, not the sports executive. 6'7", you're right.
Yeah.
7 foot wingspan. He's good. It's just not guarding Giannis.
No. I mean, no one's that good, really. But, yeah, I don't know. You probably – if they do Pat Williams out there, maybe you do Brooke and put Giannis on him. But if they close with, like, Caruso, Levine, Ball, DeRozan, Vucevic, which I don't think is impossible,
probably what they're going to do.
Would you size down then?
No.
Would you just throw Giannis on – who's Giannis guarding?
Okay, yeah.
It's a little awkward. I don't know if you want him on DeRozan all the time.
Yeah, you might size down there.
Or like maybe you just overwhelm them.
Yeah, that's fair. But that is a tricky Giannis matchup. Do you want?
I think honestly, you can go. I have a devious idea though.
You're gonna say put him on like Alex Caruso?
Yeah, put him on Caruso.
Yeah.
Dare Caruso to shoot.
Yeah, that's fair. Bucks Bulls coming down to Alex Caruso. Who would have thought?
Well, you don't have to leave him open.
They should put Grayson Allen on.
God. Well, no, I think you put whoever the fifth guy is would go then on Ball, and then you can have. Actually, it's a little tricky. Actually, you know what? You want a defender, and I don't think you want Grayson because I think you'd actually probably want Drew on DeRozan, Chris on Ball, and a defender on Levine.
Yeah, you might go. Yeah, I think you go Drew on DeMar. You might go Wes on Levine.
Yeah.
Or Javon.
Yeah. Or even Hill. But yeah, I don't know if Grayson has a good spot.
Put Grayson on Lonzo, and I wouldn't be too worried about it.
No, and then use Chris on like Levine. Yeah, maybe just to close a game.
No. Wes is on Levine.
But who's Chris going to guard then? He's got to guard someone.
Offense, defense substitutions every play.
No, you gotta. Those timeouts were burned before the 3-minute mark, Rohan.
True. Oh, this one's weird. How is this one the most weird one? But it's the one I'm not worried about.
Well, they're just such a small team that it's a little confusing. But I think, and I also think we're like getting muddled on if we're sized down or not from the Bucks perspective. But I don't know.
Maybe you don't close with Chris. I'm kidding.
No, I think Chris on Ball makes a lot of sense. And then you just play a defender who you can put on Levine.
Yeah, I think that works.
Which, that guy's going to lose to Levine a few times, but it is if Levine gets super hot. If Levine gets super hot, then you just move Drew over there. Like that's the nice part about Drew just being a toggle stopper.
Yeah, and like Chris on DeRozan, it's not like there's a size mismatch or anything.
No, DeMar's just really good, but yeah, it's not. You're not petrified about it.
No, you're not too worried. And then you just have Giannis on Vooch. Here's the thing: what if the Bulls like just go? They can have some crazy lineups. I don't know why they don't do this. What if they play like if Pat Williams comes back, play Pat at center?
Then I think then you play Brooke and you just say, okay, we're gonna dunk on you every possession. Like you're never gonna get a rebound, and we're just gonna dunk every time.
Yeah, it wouldn't work, but it'd be fun to try out.
I would love to watch them do that against the Bucks and watch like Brooke end the game with like 17 rebounds, 15 offensive.
This is why they hired Billy Donovan and not me.
We'll see. He might. I don't think he's gonna do that, but they are a very small team.
Yeah, it's just like they don't have a lot of front court options.
Tristan Thompson, baby.
Tristan Thompson, I was gonna say. What if they close with double T?
That would be fun. Then Brooke is definitely
a lot
playing.
Of fun. I think they close with Tristan Thompson because the game is like 200-5.
Yeah.
Like let's empty the bench here.
I think the last one to think about is just like I don't want to do all the West teams because it's already a super long pod.
Let's say Suns.
I think just the starters. Or do you size down? Brooke did have some troubles in that series.
I think you go starters.
I think Brooke plays less in that series than he does in a lot of series.
Yeah.
Golden State would be interesting too if they made it because they might close with Draymond at 5. Then I don't think maybe you do still play Brooke.
Yeah, that one's weird because what are the Warriors doing? They're going Steph. Steph also, he should be ready to go by the playoffs.
Yeah, it's really bad for them. You actually have to feel bad. They've had 6 quarters of their 3 guys in the last 3 years.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You see Steph in 15 minutes with Draymond at 41 points the other night?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. They're going to have 0 offense, but it'd probably be Steph, Poole, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond.
Yeah.
So Brooke on Draymond. Yeah, it'd have to be if he plays. And then you'd put Giannis on probably Wiggins.
Or do you put Wiggins on Jordan Poole?
We can't use Wiggins. What?
What?
You said you put Wiggins on Jordan Poole. We don't get to use Wiggins.
No, I meant I would say Giannis.
I was like, that's not how that works.
Oh my goodness.
No, I don't think I would. I don't think I want him chasing around Jordan Poole.
That's fair. You probably put Drew on Andrew Wiggins.
This might be a closed small game.
Yeah. That was obviously a joke, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are going to come at you. Andrew Wiggins has a bunch of stands.
Yeah. It's weird.
I don't know why.
It's weird. Does Anthony Bennett too? Is it a first overall pick thing?
Does Anthony Bennett have stands?
No. I don't think so.
No, because I tweeted one thing about Andrew Wiggins, and then it was just like flooded with like quote tweets and replies about like he's actually doing really good.
Was that on our playback?
No, it was the Warriors game a little bit like last week. I was like,
didn't we do that one?
Did we?
I thought so.
I don't think we did.
Maybe not.
I don't think we did.
Oh.
It was ABC on Saturday night.
Oh no, yeah, we haven't done a weekend game. You're right.
Yeah, but I tweeted something about Andrew Wiggins because he like threw the ball, like he spiked the ball out of bounds on accident or something. I tweeted, what is Andrew Wiggins doing? And it's just like fun. He's actually really good. Yeah. And by the way, at this point in the game, he had 4 points on 6 shots.
He's had a tremendous slump from since he started the All-Star game. Yeah. All-Star starter Andrew Wiggins.
Yep. But yeah, the Warriors could be tough.
Yeah, I think you probably size down.
You definitely size down.
You put Giannis on Draymond and let him roam. And then if they're going to use a lot of Draymond Steph, then at least you have Giannis around those actions. And then assign out the perimeter players.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then the last team is probably like the Suns. The Suns are the favorite.
Yeah.
Like I think they're making the finals.
They're injured too. The West is crazy. I think there's honestly 5 teams that can make it out of the West.
Really? I think it's Suns Warriors and that's it.
I think the Grizz could. I think
Grizzlies could?
I think Denver could, and as much as I hate to say it, there's a small chance Dallas could.
I don't know. I'm not there on Dallas.
I'm not really there. And maybe Utah as well.
I'm all the way out.
But it's just like the injuries to Golden State and Phoenix are
like Chris Paul should be coming back, like relatively soon.
Yeah, he should be, but he hasn't played in a month and he's ancient and small.
Yeah, but I still think like he's still Chris Paul.
Until he's not. It's concerning. I think it's fine that everyone's cool with it.
Here's the thing: when it's never a all of a sudden shift. There's a decline that occurs.
Unless it's tied to an injury.
But it's an offhand finger.
I know. For now.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy like Pat Connaughton who's a shooting hand, and we're brushing those off.
Well, Pat's less important to the Bucks than Chris Paul is to the Suns. Pat's going to be back earlier. Pat's a lot younger.
Does it matter for a finger injury?
Well, there's a conditioning element. I don't like bringing a guy that age back to, oh, hey, you're a star on our playoff team now.
I'm sure he kept his conditioning just fine.
It's different, though.
About, I don't think it's that big a deal.
I think how old is he?
36.
If his first game is game 1 of a playoff series, that concerns me.
I'm not. I mean, it's definitely worrying. This is getting back to what you and Adam said. I think it's worrying. It's not concerning.
I think it's a little concerning. He had some tough moments in the last playoffs while dealing with injuries too.
Yeah, and they still made the finals.
They did.
What are you, Anthony Davis now?
No, I'm not saying they didn't deserve to make it to the finals. I'm just saying I'm concerned about their ancient tiny point guard who's not going to have played a game since the All-Star game, which he played in for some reason, potentially until the playoffs start. That's 2 months.
Yeah. The Suns are just a machine, though.
They are. And Cam Johnson's been missing time. I think he'll be okay, but
yeah. They still have Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Like even if Chris Paul, like even if he's a little hampered, like yeah, Devin Booker is the lead guy now.
No, I think they're not going to have trouble in the first round or anything against this, especially this version of the West. But I just think it's less that I think the Suns are going to be bad, and more that I think they're going to be within striking distance of a team like the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, etc. I'm not as comfortable with them as I was.
I see your points. I'm still fairly confident.
What was the best team they beat last year?
Oh, so you are Anthony Davis.
I'm not. I know. I'm not saying they didn't deserve to go. I'm asking what the best team they beat last season.
Who did they play? They played the...
I'm looking right now. The Lakers, the Nuggets, and the Clippers.
Yeah.
The Clippers had no Kawhi the entire series.
Yeah, probably the
Nuggets.
Yeah.
But they did not have Murray for the entire series.
Yeah.
And the Lakers.
Mike and Sam, I'm sorry I tried.
With the Davis thing. I'm not saying they didn't earn it. I mean, this is how the playoffs goes. They didn't have Chris Paul for a lot of those games, or some of those games at least. Yeah. But I think this version of the West, like people always focus on, the Bucks road is
what's
harder.
This version of the West? Like, who are the top end teams in the West? Like,
if Steph is playing, they're better than all of those teams that they beat last year. The versions that they beat.
True.
I think the Grizzlies are. I think the Nuggets could be.
I still think the Suns are heading like they're at a different tier, in my eyes.
I think they probably are now because of the Steph injury. I had them like at the top of tier 1 with the Warriors near the bottom, and that keeps moving because the Warriors have had a lot of shifts this year. But I don't think they're going to roll through like they did last year.
No, it's going to be more difficult for sure, but they're a clear favorite in my eyes.
I think they're a favorite. I'm not sure if it's clear. It's hard. It's hard to win 3 series.
It is.
I think their road is easier than the Bucks, but I just think that I think they're going to have to play probably some. I mean, their first round might be easier, but their second and third rounds could be.
Who's the playing in the West right now?
It's not like Lakers, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's 7, 8, 9, 10 is Minnesota, Clippers, Lakers, Pelicans.
Yeah, so if Minnesota gets through, they're going to get one of the Clippers, Lakers, or Pelicans. The Pelicans are 13 games under 500. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so it'd be Minnesota, LA with the winner taking on Memphis.
Yeah.
As it stands right now. And then the loser of that versus the winner of Lakers, Pelicans. Yeah. Which if Zion plays.
Who cares?
Who cares? Can you imagine if Zion plays for the play-in game to beat the Lakers?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Suns. I was like, who cares? Who cares what Zion does?
No.
Yeah.
Like Zion comes back for the play-in against the Lakers.
I don't think he's going to play this year, but that would be fun.
That'd be so fun. Also, the Spurs are 2.5 games back for the Lakers.
1.5 games.
1.5 games out of the play and 2.5 games.
Oh, sorry. You're right. I was looking at Pelicans.
Lakers could not make the play-in.
It's embarrassing. It is. Even what they've dealt with. They are the most, and the Hawks are up there, but they are the most disappointing team in basketball. It's LeBron. How are you not a 500 team with LeBron?
I don't know. And LeBron's played 49 games?
Yeah. It's the first year a team has been under 500 in games he's played, I think, since his rookie year.
That Cavs team was bad.
Yeah, a lot of those Cavs teams were. Maybe it was his second year, but it was very early. Otherwise, ever since, obviously the Lakers wasted another year of his prime, but he stopped playing and they won enough with him.
Yeah.
They wasted 2 years of prime LeBron.
Yeah.
Terrible.
They did it to themselves too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they just did the Buddy Hield trade instead?
DeMar.
Oh my God.
Imagine if they had DeMar.
DeMar almost went to the Clippers too.
That would have been pretty fun. Would have been weird when they got healthy though.
Did you watch? Have you been watching How Hungry Are You?
No, I need to tune in.
It's very entertaining.
I know. I've seen a clip from I saw he asked Ballmer if he only could pick one, if he'd rather have PG or Kawhi, and Ballmer had to drink a bunch of cricket tea.
Yeah, it's a segment where he just asks a bunch of questions. If he doesn't answer, he has to take a shot at cricket, water, tea, or something.
I wonder if we can get you on there, if Serge would accommodate vegetarian options only.
Sure. Yeah. Would Steve Ballmer? Steve Ballmer had pig brain.
But would cricket tea count? Is that vegetarian?
I'm not doing it.
Is it a vegetarian thing, or you don't want to drink cricket tea?
It's a vegetarian thing.
I didn't know. I didn't know if it counted. Or are you just trying to skate through? Oh, I can't. Sorry, I can't do any gross stuff.
What are you talking about?
What?
What do you mean?
I don't know if crickets are meat.
They're living organisms.
I guess that's fair.
Come on.
Well, it's just not. It's not something I've.
How about this? Often. We'll have you on How Hungry Are You?
I would love to do How Hungry Are You. I've eaten crickets.
Okay, but that's just one thing.
The pig brain. I'm out. I'll go on the show, but
Yeah, what was it's so fun. It's really well put together. I want Giannis to be on there.
I've seen balls fed to people.
Yeah, I think was it Kyle Lowry?
I think so.
Or no, it was Kawhi.
Yeah.
It was Kawhi.
It was Kawhi.
I can't believe Kawhi went on there.
Serge must just be like pestering people about it every day.
Ballmer was electric.
Oh yeah, Ballmer's great.
I want to be friends with Steve Ballmer.
For a couple of reasons.
How do we make that happen?
Get a couple $1 billion.
I don't think you have to do that.
I don't know. You think Ballmer hangs out with people who have less than $1 million? Like, how would he even meet someone like that?
I don't know.
Like, I don't think he just
anyone.
I don't think he just like goes to a bar. Hey, I'm Steve Ballmer. Give me a Miller Lite. I don't think that happens.
He might. If you listen to the interview, he talks about how like frugal he is. Really.
Well, yeah, that doesn't mean it just means he like has things delivered to his house in bulk instead of shopping in smaller quantities.
Yeah. No, Serge was like, oh, all of your vacation homes. He's like, bro, I have one vacation home.
Well, what am I? Only one vacation. I do $10,000 a night Airbnbs. I don't have multiple.
Yeah, but for a guy that's worth like $200 billion.
Yeah. Guy likes his
90 billion.
I mean, honestly, they're both such ludicrous numbers. There's hardly a difference.
They're both infinite, essentially.
Yeah. It's impossible to spend it all.
Yeah, literally impossible to spend it all.
I think we should buy a team.
I think that'd be really cool.
Tillman Fertitta wants a second one. If Tillman Fertitta can afford two, we can afford one. The math has to check out there.
We just need to file the appropriate documents and stuff, and then,
take on some debt, and then you can do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then
it's
just
a write-off.
Allocate it to people who can't pay it off later.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's their debt now, and then you're worth more.
It's crazy that there is a mortgage broker and a prison owner as NBA owners.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And Fertitta.
The Cavs play a Quicken Loans Arena. No, it's Rocket Mortgage.
Rocket Mortgage. Romo Fieldhouse.
It used to be Quicken Loans.
It was Quicken Loans. But Rocket Mortgage is also... That's just like the new updated brand. Yeah, it's the same company.
No, it's just Rocket Mortgage is something that Quicken Loans does.
Yeah.
It's just, what's his name? Dan Gilbert is just, he owns the company. It's Tom Gores, right?
Tom Gores, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a prison
big
owner.
Jail guy, huge jail guy.
It's just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
How is this allowed? What does Tillman Fertitta do?
Restaurants.
Does he?
Yeah, it's restaurants. Restaurants and like casinos he owns.
Oh, yeah, it's the casino.
That's why he was floundering in 2020. But he just didn't did what billionaires do.
He's the chairman of the board of regents of the University of Houston system. Who let that happen?
Enough donations, man.
What? He's a television personality?
I guess
Who wants to see this guy on TV?
He wrote a book too.
Of course he did.
His book is hilarious. It's been memed before.
Oh, what's it called?
It's like shut up. I don't know. Shut up and trade for Russell Westbrook.
Shut up and shut up and listen. Hard business truths that'll help you succeed. How much do you want to bet he didn't write that book?
He might have. It depends if it's good. If it's good, he didn't. But he might have actually wrote the book.
No, here's the trade secret. Most people, like if their personalities writing books, have someone else write the book.
Yeah.
And then, like the person who actually writes the book just listens to the person talk about.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, it's like take this down, and then it's a book.
Yeah. Shut up and this is such a wild cover.
Shut up and listen.
It's just a close up of his face. Like, why does
it's very intense?
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Just why? It looks like Brett Favre.
Kings fan.
Brett Favre. Yeah. Like, what? Did you see that interview?
Yeah, he was gone.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He was gone. He didn't know where he was.
No, if you want like a PSA about like the dangers of football, just show them that Brett Favre.
There's been some other things that have gone into Brett Favre's
Yeah.
body
And
phone over the years. I think it's time to wrap. I think that's the signal.
I think Brett Favre has had a lot of issues that no one should really want to emulate whatsoever. Let's wrap.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to this very, very long episode.
This is Winning 6 level.
This is Winning 6 level. If you're somehow made it to the end, we appreciate you a lot. And make sure you're subscribed on your podcast platform of choice. Ty, we do have a review to read. Do you want to read it?
We do. It's short and sweet, thankfully, because the episode is over the top. From NDLC20, 5 stars, of course. The title, This Show Rocks. The subject, Great Bucks Analysis on Apple. Thank you. We will take that 7 days a week.
No, thank you. No, that is very nice. Short and sweet to the point, and it does mean a lot. Thank you. Thank you for that. If you do want to have your review read, leave one. That's how that works.
Exactly.
Make sure you're subscribed on your podcast platform of choice. Make sure you're subscribed to the Substack, gspn.substack.com. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow all of us on Twitter, Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.